Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming back to join me. I'm at a stage now, I'm doing my grungy, spooky tag journal, and I'm at the point where I'm going to join these together, and I thought I would just bring you along. Some of the reasons that I do these videos are because I forget how I make things, and they're always a good go back to reference for me to remember how I've done them, hopefully. So I've got 6 of these tags. The way that I did it was it's just normal card. I think it's either, I don't think it's 120. I think it's either 160 or 180 GSM. I really can't remember. A4, and I've measured it 7.5 tall, because that's how tall I wanted the tags, by 8 inches wide. And then I've just folded it in half so that I've got, my tags are now 7.5 by 4. I can't remember if I said that the kit pages that I'm using are from Amy at Crafty Cat, and it's her spooky past, spooky times, and some of her industrial papers as well. So let's go ahead and get these put together, she says with some trepidation. So the way that I do it is the way that I saw Tracy Fox put hers together, and the other inspiration for me is Susie from Shabby Soul. And the way that I've done it is I've cut 3 pieces. I'm using lace. Risky, maybe, but I'm going to use this black lace because I think it'll be nice. And if it goes horribly wrong, it'll end up in the bin. But I'm using 3 pieces of lace. I've cut them 7 inches tall because that's where I've just made these little kind of tags. So it goes top to bottom there. Doesn't fit perfectly, but I'm not bothered if it overhangs a little bit. And I've made them 3 inches wide, and I've sewn them down the middle, so 1.5 inches that way and 1.5 inches that way. So I've now got 1, 2, 3 pieces of fabric that side, and I've got 1, 2, and somewhere 3 pieces of fabric this side. So this is how I'm doing it, and I think there must be a zillion and one ways to do this, so mine isn't necessarily the right way or the best way, but it's the way that I manage. So I've got 6 because I think when you make these tag books, I suppose you can have as many as you like, but I've got 6. Okay, so I'm going to count across 3. So 1, 2, 3, because I want to start in the middle. So I've got the back 3 and the front 3 together, and I've got my 3 pieces of fabric that I've stitched together. Now I've left my pins in just for my benefit because I can't see where I've stitched it. Last time I used tea-dye calico, and it was easy to see where my stitching was, so I could see the middle, but I can't on this. So I'm going to take this is tag 7 and 8, and I'm going to take the first piece of fabric and lift the first piece of fabric up. I don't know if you can see or not because it's black. And I'm going to put that tag in there. And I'm going to be gluing this in. Now, it's not a perfect science, but I want it to be approximately 1/4 of an inch from the centre where I've stitched them. So I want this tag to lay about 1/4 of an inch. So maybe you can see that from the pin and the card. Hopefully you can. I'm guesstimating it. I'm not 100% sure it is 1/4 of an inch, but it's rough. Shall I measure it? We can measure it, can't we? It's not bad actually. It's to say I did it by eye. That's not half bad. Fabric gives anyway, so it's not going to be perfect science. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue where that lace goes. Now I'm using I use this high-tack fabric glue because I find it sticks fabric and card really, really well. And I'm just going to push that down like that. And then I'm going to take my tag from this side and I'm going to lift this top layer up again. And I'm going to put that in. And again, I want it to be roughly 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just lining the top of the fabric with the point of my tag shape, and the bottom's roughly the same as well. And that's roughly right as well. Oops, a daisy, I'm taking everything with me. So again, I'm just going to move that, accidentally, of course. So I'm just going to put some glue there. And it has moved, so let's just reposition it. Probably a much easier way of doing this. So it's matched up at the top. It's roughly 1/4 inch away, and I'm just going to press it down. And this is that's where I'm going to put the signature, in that bit. So that will go in there when I'm done. I could have put those closer together, maybe I should have done, who knows, but that's what I've done. And I'm then going to use this glue again, just because it's easy. I've got it in front of me. And I'm just going to join these, close these tags then. And use whatever glue is best for you. I'm not going so close to the edge with that. I'm just going to use my glue stick to get, oh, don't glue on that, to get just a bit closer to the edges. But as I say, it's not going to matter because I am going to stitch it. I'm just squashing that down and squashing that down. And I am then I'm going to take those pins out because I don't need them now. I just needed them for that first one to see where the centre was. Okay, so I'm going to just nip over to my sewing machine and I'm just going to double check. Yep, that's fine. So that one, I'm just going to stitch all the way around. I'm going to try not to stitch anywhere on my pocket. And then this one, I'm going to open that envelope out whilst I stitch around it because I don't want to accidentally close that envelope so that it won't flip open. So bear with me while I just go and stitch. Okay, so I've been and stitched. So this is the middle, and my booklet will fit in there nicely. One thing I didn't say that you need to be aware of is when you're stitching round them, you need to lift your other flaps out the way, otherwise you're going to stitch them in, and you don't want to. These other flaps, you just want to fold them to the opposite side while you stitch, and then flap them to the other way while you stitch. Now I know when you do sew round, you get the little white bits coming through, but I'll go over that with some ink when I've finished. So that's page 1 done. Okay, so if I just close that and get the next 2 in order. Now I noticed, let me put those 2 that way, so I've got 2 more to go. What I've noticed is you need to leave a little bit of extra when you put in the next one down, because you want to be sure that it's going to close over. You don't want it bumped right up. You can't really see it, but there is you can see where the stitch line is. I don't know if you can see it on this. Hopefully if I get it at the right angle, you can see that there's a bump there. So that's the initial stitch line. So that's my 1/4 inch from there to there. So when I put this one on here, I don't want there to be quite, I don't want there to be less than 1/4 inch. And I'm only attaching that one because I want it to fold over, because don't forget you're putting things in these pockets. So I'd rather have a little bit extra room than a little bit less. So I know by looking at that, from there to that stitch line on the middle, I've got more than 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm just going to glue it again. Hold that in place. Put some glue down there. And I'm actually going to put it all the way around, because I'm going to get that stitched, aren't I? I'm going to put some glue at the top and the bottom. I'm just going to check that I'm still the distance I want to be. And I'm going to close it. I guess it is a bit hit and miss, but it's working for me doing it this way. Right, just squash that down, and then I'm going to go to the back, and I'm going to take the second or the middle piece of fabric. It's not the best to demonstrate it to you. I'll try and remember to put the link of the other one that I did. Now I've squashed that right up to the stitching, and I want it to be a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go about there. And I'm going to put my glue on there again. Squidgy squidge. Don't lay that glue down, it's nearly empty. And then I'm going to, there's my line, so I want it to be a little bit closer. Top and bottom lined up. I think that's okay. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to squish it down. If any of you have done these and you've found a different way to join these, then, you know, I'd love to know. But then you can see it does move about, but then it actually does lay really flat when you're going to stitch it. So don't forget, what we need to do is when I'm stitching, I need to fold the other flaps out the way so I don't stitch them on, and I need to look at what I've got stitched on where. So for example, I don't want to accidentally sew these shut, so I'm going to have to open these like that when I'm stitching round. I've got quite a gap there. I'm going to shove that up there because I don't want to stitch through that by accident. I've got quite a lot of space just there, so I'm not worried about catching anything. And this needs to be open when I stitch around, and on the back, and that needs to be open as well when I stitch around. So I'll go and do that and I'll come back. Okay, oh, one moment. Okay, sorry about that. My husband just came back and I didn't want him to come bursting in. Right, so I think I haven't turned this one over yet because it's got the flip down pocket on the other side, and I'm a bit nervous in case I've stitched it in. But I didn't stitch those in. Look, they still flip out. Oh, no, I didn't. You know, I tried to leave as much space as I could between pockets, so I didn't kind of stitch it in. So I'm happy with what I've got so far. Oh, puffed out, I've just run up the stairs. So I've left the gaps. I've got 2 more to attach, but it's looking good. That still folds and closes. This one opens. Must remember I need to make a tag for the back there. Looking good, I'm happy. So I've got 2 more tags to do. 1 on either side. So same process again. Just making sure nothing's flipping out. And again, I don't know if you can see, but I can see where the middle stitch line was down here. Let me look. Let me lift it up a bit. If I pull these, you can see that it's stitched down there. So that's the marker that I'm looking to get this. Oh, do you know, I thought for a moment I'd made that one back to front, but of course it closes, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, I'd have had kittens on the spot. So I'm going to leave that again at slightly more than 1/4 of an inch. And as I said before, I'm not worried because the fabric is flexible. It gives a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to add my glue, get that stuck in. Sticky stuck. I've had it stood upright when I shouldn't have done. Let me tip it on its nose for a bit. Just get those stuck down. Okay, I'm going to hold that back, and I'm going to lay that down towards the end. Sorry, I've gone quiet because I'm trying to concentrate. Close that. I'm going to be careful stitching here, look, because I haven't given myself enough room, much room at all. I have at the bottom, but at the top, I think I'm going to have to straight stitch that, otherwise I'm going to stitch that in. And that, again, I've got plenty of room there for everything that's going in. Try and close that up a bit. Probably isn't closing up because I didn't put any glue just there. I didn't. But like I say, it's getting stitched, isn't it? And then the back page is this one. Hopefully my glue's stood on its head long enough now to behave. Let's have a look. There's quite a lot of glue on there, isn't it? Get that on there. And just glue stick round the edges just to stick it down while I'm stitching. And then that's going to slip under, match it at the bottom. And that little bit extra doesn't want to glue. I can feel there's no glue just up here. Just to hold it together whilst I stitch it. I think that might be too much. Oh no, it'll be fine. I'm going to try and move it that little bit closer. There's always one that just doesn't quite go right, isn't there? I would say it's easier to do it if it's not lace, but I'm not worried that that's got a lot of give in it. I'm really not. I would rather it be like that than a tight fit close, because it means you can add to it, doesn't it? Right, stitch around the last one. Ooh, gosh. Challenging. One moment. Okay, I'm really pleased how this has turned out. I haven't stitched anything in. I've got, I don't know if you can see, but I've got the see-through lace, and I've got my 6 pockets, my 6 tags in there. I will go over with some ink, you know, sort of on the back, just to get rid of those white bits. They go quite easily, just run it over and they go. Just doesn't look quite so stark then, does it? Sorry, am I bouncing you? I bet I am. I need another sponge. All my sponges seem to give up the ghost quite easily these days. There we are, just rub it down. I didn't stitch my envelope. Bonus. I haven't managed to do zigzag stitch on all of the tags because it depends how much space I'd left myself when I was putting the pockets on, so that's something to remember as well. I mean, I could have done this with the tabs on the outside where you do your 2, your 3, or 3, 2, 3, 2, but I just wanted to join these together like this. Got the thread just there, look. Cut that off. No scissors. Scissors. Everything's disappeared. I tell you, I do have gremlins on my table. I really, really do. This pink paper is actually from Amy's Easter bonnet kit. And I don't know if it's how it prints out on my printer, but I love it. It's turned out really, really nicely. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, let's put back the ephemera, shall we? And then we can get more of a feel for how it's looking. What have we got? We've got the coffin that went in the front. goes in there. I've got the little children in there and the tall tag with the spooky man on. That goes in there. They flip out. And then here we've got the little booklet. Sorry, am I out of screen? We've got the little booklet that goes in there. And we've got the extra paper that goes in there. And my spider crab. My little tickets. 1, 2, 3, 4 little tickets that go in there. Somewhere I've got a tag that went at the back of that, haven't I? Oh, there it is. It had got shoved to the back. That goes in there. Like that. So that lady goes in there. Peeking out there. Oh, I wondered what was on there then. It's this envelope. I might need to put something on that to stop it flipping open. Journal card in there. These two went in here. The album, family album, went in there. Then in here, I don't think I'd done anything to go in the back. I'd forgotten that there was a back pocket just there. So I will need a something to go in there, won't I? That will go in there. So I need to back that, and then that goes in there. Just refold that. And we've got that flip there with that tag there. And then we've got the little index booklet just there. So you can see it's filled it out quite a lot. Like that. Just like that. And then in the middle here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I would like to put this little booklet, which fills it out even more. So you can see why. Can you see how now that's full? That's nice and flat. So that actually has filled that journal out nicely, hasn't it? I think that's quite squidgy. It feels really nice. So my thought for this is I wanted to make it one that can be removed. So I'm going to tie it in. I've got this deep purple seam binding. If anyone knows anywhere in the UK that I can get seam binding, please let me know. So I want to tie that maybe in there. I was wondering if I might be able to tie it tight but not tight. Oh, why can you not? Could one of you please just put your thumb on that knot for me? Because what I want to do is tie another knot there. And then I thought I could tie it here. And I think I've just got enough of that purple ribbon to do it. And that actually makes a cross on the back then as well, doesn't it? I can probably get that a bit tighter, but I don't think that's going to come out now. You see, that is tied in, but you can change it, you know, you can fill it in and then you can change it. I might have some bits and pieces to decorate that with as well. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of extra work on this, but I think that is my perfect, my spooky grunge journal. So I'm still working on this one. I want to put some papers in here. I've already put a tag in there that I thought would go. I've got a little pocket just there. I want to put some papers in here, some papers in here, and some papers in here. And then I'll do a flip through of both together. So I hope this might have been useful to you. Please do let me know one way or the other. But thank you so much for staying with me, and I have enjoyed your company. Take care, folks. Bye.